however you're listening, whether it's a podcast later on, if it's live, really appreciate the viewership. Please, massive episode, grand final preview, obviously for both the NRLW and the NRL. Got two massive special guests coming on the show as well that everyone will know. One of the current stars, Olivia Higgins from the Newcastle Knights, the hooker, and then obviously Trent Hodkinson as well. A lot of people remember him from helping us New South Wales supporters finally drown out the Queenslanders. That special magic try that he scored at ANZ Stadium. It was fantastic scenes. I remember being there. But great to have you both on board. Olivia, we're going to start with you first. Obviously, you've got the NRLW Grand Final this weekend with the Newcastle Knights. And I just want to, first of all, take you back to last week and the fact that you got to play in front of a record crowd at home, just how far the women's game has come. Do you women realise the effect you're currently having on this competition and the growth that it's got? It must be so special to run out and see that blue and red packed stadium.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. It's definitely the biggest crowd, like standalone crowd, obviously, that I've played in front of. But I think obviously we love playing before the boys, but to run out knowing that the people are there to watch you is definitely different. And I think what I love most is there's so many like dads there with their daughters, and I just think that's really nice to see that these girls, coming through can watch rugby league but watch the girls play it. I know Kurt Gidley takes his daughter and she prefers to go and watch the girls now, and I just think that's really, it's amazing, and it's come so far in such a short period of time, which is really cool, because I think in a few years it's only obviously going to grow a lot more, and I think they're talking about a couple more teams coming in by 2025. So it's exciting for the game.
It's massive, and I know Adam wants to take over here, so just let the viewers know when they are watching, please send your questions in as well. We will get to them as we're talking, and Olivia will be with us for a short amount of time first, so we'll focus on the NRLW side of things. Then we'll switch over and speak about the NRL side of things as well. So, Adam, I know you got a few questions lined up.
Before Adam does jump in here and put Liv to the grill, I want to comment on the crowd, because I was one of the 12,000 that were there, and I was talking to my dad. Him and I are members. We go to every game, and to look around and see that the crowd was about 80% girls, aging from anywhere from 6 up to early 20s. It was outstanding. I hope you realize, and I think it sounds like you do, that you have such an influence on the area, but also young girls that play rugby league. I'm a primary school teacher, and I'm seeing these effects on the playground as well. We're getting so many girls that want to play rugby league and play touch footy down on the oval, and they are pretending to be players from the NRLW. The amount of times I hear Tamika Upton's name called out when they're playing is amazing. So I hope you know how influential you're being at the moment, and how cool that is. So I know you commented on it, but just to say, like, to look around and see that crowd, it was really cool. I know you mentioned dads, but there was so many young girls there watching you guys play.
Yeah, there was. It's definitely, it's very surreal. And I'm a school teacher as well. And it's so funny. Like, I look around, I see so many of my students in the crowd and the young girls, like the teenage girls. And I just love that they're there to watch us. But it still hasn't really sunk in, but I'll never forget that, like, playing on Sunday and what that felt like, running out to that many people and just so many Newcastle supporters. And if any Newcastle supporters are watching, we appreciate their support so much. Like, it's definitely the best club to play for.
Here.
I know Adam's slowly burning up, but just quickly before Adam takes off, and I'll tell you, I'll warn you about one thing. Adam does not like positive Newcastle talk, so who knows what he'll come up with. But Trent, just quickly, obviously you've played in the big stage before, even before obviously the women's NRLW was around. What is the sort of impact you've noticed being out and about with the NRL working that the women's game has had?
Yeah, mate, it's huge. I'm a massive fan of the women's game. I just think at times the men's game can get so structured. I think just watching the women's game, it's just they're just playing footy, unstructured footy, and there's a lot of talent getting around, and it's good to see. And we touched on schools before, where I'm doing a bit of community work with the schools now, and every time I go out there, there's girls there that are showing up the young boys now. So it's awesome to see. It's great for the game. so happy that it's getting bigger and bigger each year, because, as I said, I'm a massive fan, and the crowd out at Newcastle, and the crowd that are following the women's game now is unbelievable. So it's good to see it growing.
Go on, Adam. Take off.
No, I'm going to be nice. Look, I want to give her a wrap, first of all. One thing that's probably flown under the radar with all this talk of Knights going back-to-back. Liv, how many grand finals is this in a row? I'll let you have your moment. How many grand finals in a row are you looking for yourself personally? Come on.
3.
So she's actually looking for 3 comps in a row. Obviously, one with the Roosters, and 2 with the Knights. So, obviously, that's a massive achievement. But look, I want to talk. Let's go back into the life of Liv Higgins first of all. Do you want to tell people how old you were when you actually started playing footy, or what year it was even?
Yeah, I'm a late bloomer. So I started in 2019, and I didn't play any footy prior to that. So it's been very quick, short but quick.
Yeah,
but what made you get into that?
I would have been, I was 29. I debuted last year because we had the double comp last year. So I was 29. I'm 31 now, and I was 29 when I debuted. So yes, very old. But what made me get into it, I just grew up in a footy family. My dad and my brothers are so invested in it, and my pop was as well. And then I used to go to the games and always had a love for it, but couldn't play. And it wasn't even an option for me to play because I couldn't see it. So I never really thought about it. So I actually weirdly grew up playing tennis. And then it wasn't until 2019, I just went to a nines tournament, and then it kind of took off from there. So it was very quick.
Yeah. Obviously, knowing the Higgins family, just from Newcastle area, it's pretty much a name. Like we've touched on, her dad was obviously a pretty good player back in his day. He played country rep, Newcastle rep, bit of everything. So obviously,
yeah, the Knights
pretty handy coach as well. Yeah, before the Knights, obviously country football was a lot bigger. A lot of people got opportunities to go to Sydney and knocked them back and stuff like that. They chose to stick into the country. But look, I first saw Olivia in 2017 playing league tag, and obviously being involved in coaching there. And that was your first real into footy, wasn't it? Like your first games of footy with that. Obviously, probably played some touch or something before, but
yeah,
I remember at coaching, Olivia coming to me and saying, I can't do this. I remember exactly what it was. I remember it was you couldn't pass from one side from dummy half. Can you teach me? And I reckon after about 3 goes, she'd absolutely nailed it better than my left to right. So I was, straight away I was filthy. So I kind of knew then you're obviously going to go into some pretty good things. But look, one of the things I want to touch on quickly is, who do you think's been the most influential person on your career throughout your footy? I said obviously you've come from that family with your brothers being quite good footballers and your father. Anyone like that, or someone else?
No, I would say my dad, I think, definitely. Just because of what I've been able to see, he coached us in league tag as well. And I think just how positive he's been for me through the last few years. And I've just loved I've even watched some of his coaching sessions, and when he was coaching my brothers coming through. But yeah, I would definitely say dad. And I love that he taught us to be so competitive. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but growing up, he always competed for everything, and he made us compete for everything. There was never, we'd play a muck around game or something, and it always turned into a competition. And I love that. So that's definitely come from him. And yeah, I think he's been the most influential on my career for sure.
Trust me, I definitely got that competitive. I remember having a disagreement with him and your sister on the sideline when coaching against South Newcastle one day. Just one more thing I'll ask.
Adam having arguments, unheard of.
Yeah, no, not me. I'm calm.
That would have definitely been your fault, by the way.
Yeah, 100% it would have. 100% it would have. She knows me well. Look, one more thing. Actually, I've got 2 more questions. Just first of all, the week. Talk us through what it's like, obviously, prepping for the week of training. Obviously, media engagements and stuff like that. And you do the grand final breakfast and stuff. Do you stay in Sydney? What's the plans?
Yeah, so we had yesterday off, and then today we did the people of Newcastle could come and watch our training session. And then we just had recovery this afternoon, and then tomorrow's off, and then training on Thursday. And we head to Sydney Friday morning, and I think the NRLW event thing is Friday afternoon at about 4:00. So captain's run then on Saturday, and then we play Sunday. So it's actually not as hectic as people think. It's not too bad, and our training load's pretty light, really.
Cool.
Is that more mental this time of year?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it's definitely more kind of review and then, just making sure that our bodies are refreshed and ready to go rather than, put us through anything grueling. I know Thursday will kind of just be touching on what we can improve in attack, I'd say, and just tightening up like defensive stuff, but it won't be too full on.
I want to ask you one more question about last week's game. Before I ask about that, we've got one of our regulars, Andrew, asked a question. And I actually think it's quite a good question to ask about the NRLW this year. Do you feel like the Matildas hype has helped the NRLW game this year with a lot more people looking into the women's side of sport?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Matildas was just unreal for women's sport in general. Like there was one game, I think Matildas had just won. It was a penalty shootout, but I forget what was that the quarterfinal. It was, wasn't it? Yeah. They just won that, and our coach spoke about that. But they spoke about that before we actually ran out and played, and he just said like it's so crazy and it's such a good time to be part of women's sport because it's just taking off. And I think I watched I'm not a soccer fan at all, and I watched every Matildas game, so I think it's been really good, and that was a great moment for women's sport in Australia.
That's awesome. I think it was hard to escape the hype of the Matildas. That was outstanding. That took over the nation. And again, back on a school level, seeing that hit the playground, and I know I decorated my classroom for all of the finals series. We had posters up on the wall of all the players. It was great.
It feels like there's a lot more people watching NRLW compared to even the end of last year. Like you can feel it. So it's great.
I want to get taken inside the four walls after last weekend. And we know this time of year, even with a victory, there's always things to critique or be a little bit critical of, and there's always questions. You conceded 24 points against the Broncos and sort of let them back into the contest towards the back end of that game. Was that something that was spoken about afterwards once the celebrations had calmed down and you sort of looked into this week's?
Yeah, a little bit. We just, I think, could recognise it even before anything was even said by a coach that we need to play 70 minutes. I think the whole season we've been, we either start really fast and finish pretty bad, or we do the opposite and we give up a lead. So I think we've spoken about it as a playing group that we need to play for the whole 70 minutes, and we knew that playing the Broncos as well, that if we didn't start fast that they'd probably beat us because they are a very good team. And I was actually so nervous coming into that game because I know how unpredictable they are, to be honest. And I think a few of the girls felt like that. So when we did get off to that start, it was disappointing that it did go down to the wire like that, because I think it was only Jessie Southwell's boot that got us over in the end, which is just not good enough when we had a lead like that. And we can't do that against the Titans because they're too good defensively.
Touching on conversions, it's been a gripe of mine all season, as the boys can attest to. And Trent, I never had that problem with you. You're an ace, so well done. But Jessie icing games, we forget how young she is. Like, what does she like to play with? I love watching her play. She's so free with her movements and just her decision making for such a young person. She's outstanding. What's it like to play alongside her? She's a little bit of a psycho, Jessie, but it's good. Like she'll boss everybody around. She's what you need as a half. I think she's very good in how she controls things, but she's just very calm in moments like that. Like if she has to seal a game or kick the goal like she did, she does it with ease. But then there's other periods within a game where she does not lose her head, but she's so competitive, or she gets so angry that she will say things and she's like, sorry, didn't mean that, like, whatever. But we know whatever happens on the field stays on the field. But she's unreal to play with. Like, I cannot believe she was only 18 in February. Like, how she plays is just well above her years, and she's only going to get better. And she's she's a huge talent, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can't believe she wasn't 18 at last year's grand final celebrations. That's just shocking.
Yeah, she missed out. She's 17.
She was having solos, Adam. She was having solos.
Yeah, very well behaved.
Not hard solos either.
I want to ask about, we've seen partnerships with premiership winning sides in the past and the importance of having the two sort of number 9s, and obviously you're working in tandem at the moment with Nita Maynard, and she comes on and adds that extra little bit of energy when I guess the opposition's getting a bit tired and things like that. How are you finding that partnership, and how's it with the combination with her at the moment?
Yeah, I love having her in the team because she's older than me as well. So I'm not the oldest, which is good. But she's just got so much experience, and I actually just love playing with her. She's got a lot of energy, and when she kind of comes on, I move into the lock, like ball playing lock position, I guess. And she's she's great to play with. So I've been able to be on the field with her as well. And for someone of her size, she's she's pretty good. Like she'll throw a body in there, and she's been great to play with. I think she's had a bit of bad luck at other clubs, but she seems to be really enjoying Newcastle. So it's good to we're lucky to have her.
Us Eels fans miss her. I know that much, Adam.
I'm on this
touching
anymore,
on that. And touching on the club, what do you put the winning formula down to? Is it club culture? Is it the coach? Is it the girls gelling? Why do you think that the Knights are so strong at the moment? What's happening inside there?
I just think it's a good mix. It's a good culture. I think we hold each other accountable a lot. If someone's not buying into the culture, then they're made well aware of that. And I think any new girls that come into we had a 50% turnover this year from last year. We lost a lot of big players. So it hasn't been as easy as it probably looks. And our coach he's massive on connection and making sure that we have enough time with one another to get to know each other so that, that shows on the field. But I actually think it's just we all love going to training. We love being around each other, and our club, they look after us really, really well. They're proud of us, and they do, things exactly the same for us as they do for the boys team. So I think everyone just loves playing and playing for Newcastle.
One question I've got for you. Obviously, I know Ronnie pretty well. Has Ronnie ever given you a spray? Has he ever given you a blow? Because as you said earlier, he seems to deliver his messages pretty well. I want to know if he's given you a personal spray or just given the team a spray in general.
Oh, even when he gives us a spray, though, it's articulated so well. He just has a speech written every single time he talks. He's really very good with his words. But there's not necessarily yelling, but he has said things that you just know. I feel like you look at him and you just know he's off here, or that he's not happy. But his sprays is more go into his office, he'll sit you down and he'll be like, you need to be better at this, and I need to see this next week, kind of thing, which is good. I think that's what we need as players for sure to improve.
I feel like he studies all the sports movies before he actually goes into a conversation. Just has it ready to go in the back of his head. So, do you want to go to some of the viewers' questions?
No, he's a sucker for a motivational video or a quote or something. He loves it.
He has "believe" written at the top of the change room. You tap it as you walk out. Bit of Ted Lasso.
Literally, he loves it.
Yeah. I will get into some viewer questions, but first I just want to quickly touch on this week's game, obviously, then. And just talk about the opposition first, the Titans, who I think caused a massive boil over. Not many people probably seen it coming, beating the Roosters last week, who so many experts, not myself, I'll put my hand up and say I've been on you girls for quite some time now. I think you girls are really warming into this competition as the weeks go. I know you said you haven't put together a 70-minute performance yet, but I just feel like each week your performance as a team gets better and better still, which is great to see. First of all, straight after the game, did you girls go ahead and watch that game as much as you could? Was there sort of a team meeting around it, or it was sort of we'll just get back and we don't mind who we verse, that cliche, and we'll just get the job done?
Yeah, we didn't
Did
get
you
a
watch
chance.
the Formula One highlights like we did?
No way.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, we didn't get to. By the time we actually got into the sheds and we had our families all in there and stuff, the game, I think it was halfway into the second half. But we didn't really care who we played. I know that does sound cliche, but we actually didn't, because I think both of them are really good sides. So I feel like a grand final is different anyway, regardless of how teams played previously. We didn't mind. I just thought it was just interesting, the Titans could keep the Roosters to 0. They're one of the best attacking teams in the comp, so we know what we're up against. And then defensively, I think, they're by far the benchmark
Yeah, their defensive, that defensive outfit was sort of how they started the year as well. They were really, really good defensively for those first few weeks, and I think a little bit of fatigue set in, but they're back to that, which is probably a scary thing for you guys. But then you got some class attacking weapons with yourself there as well to break that down. Just with their go forward as well, because obviously you're in the middle. They've got some real big firepower weapons in the middle with Shannon Marto and Jessica Elliston as well, who are on fire, I feel like, at the moment. Is there any sort of special messages about how to sort of get one up on those two girls, because they're sort of the leaders of the Titans pack at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't really thought about it, but I think what separate the Titans are just a fit team. Like their middles are just really fit. Like Shannon Marto runs like 200 plus meters a game sometimes, and her tackle count's massive. So, and then you've got Georgia Hale in the mix as well, who's the fittest forward in the whole competition. And obviously playing them in 35-degree heat this weekend, it's going to be really, really hard. But I think for us, we just need to stay in the grind early. I feel like the first 20 minutes is always the hardest, and that if we can get through that, I think that, yeah, we do have some sensational attacking weapons, and hopefully we can break through their line. But yeah, we don't have really a plan for any particular player. We just know it's going to be really hard in the middle. And I think they've got like a really good balance. Like Steph Hancock's 41, but she's still killing it. And then you've got the youngest players just turned 18. So they've got a whole big mixture of ability and playing age and experience there. And Brittany Brayley at 9 is really good as well. So yeah, it's going to be they got strike across the park, so we know that, and we'll prepare for that.
Couple of fan questions, then we're going to let you go and get through some of these quickly. So Damo just wants to know, what's been your personal best game since joining the Knights last year? Any game that sticks out?
Not really last year. I think last year was my best season. I'd come back from a pretty big injury, and I just, wasn't as fit as I probably should have been. But I don't know, maybe the Tigers game recently, or I don't know. I don't really stand out at all, to be honest. I just try to do my job, and I try to do my role good every single week. So I think just being consistent, but maybe this weekend might be my best. Who knows?
Come on,
Save it
you're
for
a
the big
star.
dance. I love that.
Is that your first try in the game? First try scorer? Is that the first time you've been first try scorer?
First try scorer? Yeah, actually. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Adam wanted to know what you were paying.
Yeah, I would have been paying a bit.
We're not talking about that.
I just wish I got on it, is what I'll say.
Got a nice little question here. Got a nice little question here from Ebony Morris. Olivia is the most kind-hearted and amazing woman. She always takes time out to make sure she says hello to all her fans. She is 1 in a million. Liv, what is your best achievement to date?
Oh gosh, like footy-wise, is that, yeah?
Oh, I mean, you can
take
take
it
it
however
anywhere
you
you
will.
want.
I was tag comp if you wanted to, but it could be up to you.
Not meeting Adam Martin, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. Probably, I would say last year's grand final, like to win for Newcastle, and having grown up here and be the first ever Newcastle team to, like, for the girls to win that. I think that's really special. So yeah, I would say that. And I think how we did it was pretty cool as well.
I'll tell you what, it was special for the town. It was special for the town as well. We were going through some pretty dry periods as Knights supporters. So for you guys to go all the way and do that, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I didn't believe it was very special, to be honest. I thought it was a terrible day out for all people in rugby league. But at least they think of the positive this year. There'll be no idiot walking in with the drum 3 minutes into the game. So hitting the crap out of the drum when you're playing against them. So
I forgot. That was you, wasn't it?
Yes.
Definitely me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like this question here, John. I'll read this one quickly. This is from Alison. Hey, Olivia, I just started my women's rugby league comp for Opens for Mudgee Dragons. Any advice? I had my first game on the weekend.
Oh, just to probably, a bit cliche, but probably just to enjoy it and I guess, be a sponge and try to learn as much as you can from people that know all about footy and listen to your coach. And I think for me, that's something that I just try to absorb anything and learn so many different things and just have fun. I think when you are having fun and you're enjoying it, that's when you play confidently. So that would be my advice.
Perfect. We will let you go. I know you need to go and prepare, and there's a few days out now, and just get everything right. We really do appreciate you coming on. Boys, do we want to do our predictions while we have Liv on at the moment, or do we want to let her go and we will? I don't know what Adam's going to say. So
I'd happily give my predictions.
Yeah, you can do your predictions.
Let's do them. All right, let's do them. Go on, Adam.
No, I'm not going first. I'll go last.
All right. Trent, do you have some for the NRLW?
Yeah, go on, Trent.
Yeah, I do, mate. I do.
Come on.
Obviously, the Knights 22-12, I reckon. 10-point margin. I reckon Jasmine Strange for first try scorer. And we're talking about it before, Jessie Southwell, I reckon, for man of the match. I reckon she'll have a big game. I just think what Liv was saying before, she's pretty calm in those moments where you need a calm head in something like a grand final, a big game. I know she's been there, and her team will be looking for her to sort of lead them around the pack and keep that calm head on. And I think she'll have a big game for them.
Yeah, go on, Jez. You can go.
Well, Knights win, obviously. I like the 10-point margin. I'm going to go 30-22. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. I've got Sheridan Gallagher as first try scorer. Is it true that she used to play for the Matildas?
Yeah, she did. She was actually captain of the young Matildas. So she actually was goal kicking for us when Jessie went off against the Tigers, and you can tell she's a soccer player. She
strikes the ball very well off the tee.
Yeah, so
even some of her kickoffs are pretty interesting as well. The way she hits the ball. So
I think she was playing for Sydney FC, and then that's what they called. And then she played 2 games of league in the state comp, and a heap of NRLW coaches were like, "Who is that girl?" So yeah, she's pretty talented. She's only, I think she played 2 games prior to debuting this year.
Yeah, wow. Well, she's my first try scorer, and I've got Tamika Upton as the player of the match. I think she's just going to go to that next level. She's been outstanding all year, but she's going to do something spectacular. You just watch.
Yeah. Okay.
You just feed her the ball, Liv. That's all you got to do. You just feed her the ball.
Do something.
Liv just goes from dummy half. She did it last week. Don't take away from it. I'll let Adam go last. I'll let Adam go last. So me and Trent, I think Trent's had a look at my notes or something because they've gone awfully close. I've got the Knights 22-10. I'm going to stick to my guns. I've been on the Knights for quite a while now, even when everyone was in love with the Roosters. I said, no, watch these Knights girls. They're on fire. First try, I've gone Jasmine Strange as well. Sorry, no, I've gone Liv, obviously, for the first try. And I've gone Liv for the player of the match, the Karen Murphy medal as well. No, I'll give my unfavourite pick as well. Jasmine Strange first try, and I've gone Tamika Upton, who I think has same as with the Knights this year. I think she's just building perfectly into this season and has saved her best for last. Some of the tries and some of the plays she's put on the last couple of weeks has just been phenomenal. And I tell everyone, if they haven't watched NRLW before, if they've been living under a rock, make sure you're watching a Newcastle game because the things that she's coming up with lately, week to week, I'd love to ask Liv a bit more about it, but I don't want to push it for time. But it'd just be phenomenal to be around and to watch how she is as just an athlete and what she does. Like we've seen those freak athletes in the past and how much they can just build the team. That's just Tamika, I feel like, all over.
Yeah, I think though with Tamika though, she withdrew from the World Cup because she was having a few niggles and she couldn't get her body right. And what people wouldn't realize, she had a massive off season. She put on some size. She changed her whole gym program. Like she's put in so much work to be playing the way she is. Like she didn't have a kicking game and she wanted to improve defensively, and she's done all of that in the off season. So credit to her. Like she's done that on her own, and she's I think it's so exciting that now the game can see what she's capable of. So we already knew, but she's just getting better. She's gone to another level.
That's a great mind frame as well, because everyone had her probably as the best player of the in the comp last year. The fact she wants to continue to improve is great. Adam, go on.
Look, as everyone knows, I'm not a Knights fan at all, but it must have been about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I actually gave the Titans a rap and said that I thought they'd be playing in a grand final. So the fact they've done, I'm impressed. I can't do it. I was a jerk last year, and I was torn last year because I kind of said to Liv, I didn't know who I was going to support with Parramatta. I didn't expect Parramatta to be in a grand final last year, so I won't do it to it this year. I'll support the Knights this year. It's probably the only time I'm ever going to support the Knights. But as Liv said, they're obviously very good. You'll take it, yeah. You're not going to get me in a jersey. This is the closest you're going to get.
Screenshot that jersey.
We'll try. Yeah, I've got it recorded.
Yeah, but look, as Liv said, it's going to be obviously a low-scoring game defensively, I think, because of how defensively solid the Titans are. So I'm actually going to go 10-6 to Newcastle. Very low-scoring. I've actually gone Yasmin Clydesdale to score the first try. And my player of the match, given the fact that I think it's going to be so low-scoring, it's going to be played through the middle, and the fact that I think forwards just deserve more recognitions. The backs get all the recognitions, and don't Liv, it's not you. Don't get your hopes up. I'm going to go Caitlin
Johnson. I reckon she's a roughie.
I reckon she's due to explode. For those that are able to punt, she's obviously seeing at some pretty good odds as well. So gamble responsibly. Caitlin Johnson is my one. Yeah.
Liv, thank you very much. I know we're taking up way too much of your time. Go and get some rest. If we can, we'd love to get you on in the off season and have a bit more of a chat about your career and how things have been in the women's game, watching it grow. That'd be awesome to have. But a lot of people in the comments have so many more questions for you. So yeah, as I said, perfect time in the off season to chat. But good luck on the weekend. We'll be watching. We'll be cheering for you. Up the Newcastle Knights, and you've given us a piece of history. You've made Adam say go the Knights. He's going for the Knights.
No.
Please,
I didn't say go that.
I didn't say that. Unfortunately, I don't have that recorded.
He's going for the Knights.
Yeah.
That's all good. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
See you
Good
later.
luck.
All righty, that was fantastic. Bit of piece of history for us here at League of Inches as well. Getting to interview a player warming up for her grand final this weekend. But now let's focus our attention to the NRL side of things. Obviously, a massive game, the Penrith Panthers versus the Brisbane Broncos, who I don't think there's anyone who follows the game can't say this is probably the grand final that we were waiting to see. Basically, the two best teams all year finally got there at the big dance. And I think this is what a grand final should be all about. The two best teams get there, get the jobs done. Their prelim form was ridiculous. They put both teams to pasture, really. Trent, let's get you a bit more involved here and focus on a bit more for you. I want to ask you a few questions here. Yep. You've obviously been involved with the grand final side of things with the Bulldogs, and I just want to know what the week is like. We did hear just before from Liv how she's going through with the women's. It's still getting to that stage that the men's have been like, I think. So they're still building how busy it can be and how crazy it can be media-wise and things like that. What's it like for the men's side of things and your build-up for that week that you had it?
Yeah, mate, it was going back a little bit now, 2014, so 9 years ago or whatever, but it was a big week, eh? It was awesome. It was very enjoyable. You can imagine the main street of Belmore was going pretty ballistic, mate. Talking about drums before, Adam, you're on the drums. We had about 10,000 drums going in the main street. But it was good. The region, like Belmore, embraced it. We were training out of Belmore there. We had the fans. It was packed. We had the breakfast, the NRL breakfast. So there was a lot of things going on, and it wasn't probably until later on in the week you could start to focus on the game. Early in the week was quite busy, but, the back end of the week was where you could sort of taper down and start to, focus on the game and go from there. But looking back at it now, it went so fast, hey? I wish I had just sat back and taken it all in a bit better. But it was a great experience. It was very enjoyable. And, the circumstances that, we got to the grand final that made it a bit more special. I think we went down to Melbourne in that first final, played them down there and got the win, come back and played Manly, got them in Golden Point. And then we had to knock off Penrith, who beat the Roosters in an upset in the prelim to get in. Had a chance to win the grand final against the Rabbitohs. It was a great week, unreal. Something I'll When the grand finals come up, it's definitely a special place, special feeling for sure, because it brings back all those memories.
Probably the time you miss it the most as well. This week is obviously massive. Just one quick question that has come in before we get a bit more involved with your crew. Post-footy side of things, there's a few people here that have mentioned to you, are you interested in coaching, the coaching side of things?
Yep, for sure. I took a bit of time away from the game after I finished. I went back and ticked off a few things that I felt that was pretty important to me. The footy scene up here. I've just recently moved to Queensland, so I'm in enemy territory, and I'm going to be jumping on board and doing some stuff up in the region of Rockhampton for the Dolphins here, and I'm going to jump on board with the Capras as well, which is pretty good in the coaching role. So I'm excited. It's something that I definitely want to get right into, and it's a goal of mine down the track. But I'm just happy to get back involved in the game and get amongst it again.
Yeah, Jez, obviously a massive Knights fan. Got a question?
I do. It is a Knights-based question. I know that I was pretty thrilled when you signed for the Knights, coming off the back of some of the things that you'd done in your career. I know it probably wasn't a highlight, or what I'm trying to say is I know there were some dramas and stuff that did happen. But my main question is there a stigma around the halfback or the number 7 at Newcastle post Andrew Johns? So you going into that role, do you feel added pressure, or can you just talk a little bit about what it's like playing? Because as a boy from the area, it was my dream. I dreamt about being the number 7 for Newcastle, growing up watching Andrew Johns play. So I'm assuming there's a stigma there, but what is it like as a player actually pulling on that jersey representing Newcastle?
Yeah, it was, mate. When I signed with Newcastle, I was very excited because how much I love their footy up there. And, you got one team in that town there, and they're very passionate fans. And, mate, as soon as I got up there, I felt embraced. It was, I felt very comfortable from the get-go, not only from the players and the staff, but from the town. And, there was some difficult times up there. I was going through a rebuilding phase at the time, so I guess my timing up there, I would have liked to go up there at a time where, we a bit more settled. But, mate, to be honest with you, I didn't overly think about the whole number 7 jersey in regards to that stigma, to be fair. Yes, Joey has wore the 7 and, it's a famous jersey. No one will ever replicate that. But I was just looking forward to getting on board with my new club and trying to do the best I could for the team. So, mate, I embraced it. I loved it. I love wearing the Newcastle colours. As I said, mate, the town was unreal. I love living in the city. You just feel like a country town in a way, outside of Sydney, and the traffic's nowhere near as crazy, which is good. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And but to answer your question, mate, I threw on the 7 jersey. Yes, I knew the history, and yes, I knew the player that come before and the players. But mate, I embraced it, and I really enjoyed that responsibility of putting on that jersey.
I love it.
Adam,
love it.
Before you're sick, I know you want to take us away from Newcastle talk. You've had enough of it. Take us somewhere else.
It's killing me.
That's all I'll do. I promise. Apart from asking for a jersey, that's all I'll do.
I feel for Trent. Obviously, that time is at Newcastle was just a hard time for football in the area. Had a lot of young players coming through and a lot of gifted players that, look, Trent, if you don't know me well, but what I will say is I'm not afraid of controversy. And what I'll say is that I think the club should have stuck with some of those players, and they probably shit on them a little bit too much. And I'll say that now based around Brock Lamb. Brock Lamb was brought through. Obviously, he plays at Maitland now, which is my local club, and they shit on him. They did nothing but shit on him after bringing him through, and I thought he was starting to play some of his best footy alongside you in that 2017 season. And, I remember he was carving Parramatta up. Parramatta was in the top 4. I thought, this is Brock's breakout game. And then we all know the infamous lamb shank at Belmore Oval there, as it's referred to. And After that, he was kind of moved on, and it's a shame what happened. Obviously, to some players there and a lot of other young players. But I'm going to ask you the hard question. Look, you've obviously been a few different clubs. You're Parramatta Junior. Obviously, I think did you win a comp Parramatta New South Wales Cup there in 2009? Were you in that part of that squad, or?
I was a part of it. Yeah, I was a part of that squad. Played a few games. Didn't play in the GF. I think we played. Yeah, but I played maybe the semi or a few games leading up to it. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, I went through that pretty dominant New South Wales Cup. And obviously at Manly, started your career at Manly, finished at Manly. I think you played obviously your best footy, had the most opportunity at the Dogs. Where do your loyalties lie? When you look back at your career, where do you declare yourself a player of? If you're going to go to one Old Boys day for the rest of your life, which one is it?
Yeah, right, mate. It'd have to be the Bulldogs, mate, to be honest with you. As you said, I spent most of my time there, and I had I felt as though I played my best footy there. And I got to play in the grand final there. I was injured in the 12 grand final, but I got to play in the 2014 grand final and represent, New South Wales whilst I was at the Bulldogs. So if anyone asks now and they go, who do you support? I go, look, if I have to pick, it'd be the Dogs, because that's where, it's just where I spent most of my time and where I felt most comfortable. And the boys there too, we had a really good crew there. Every I've gone to, we've had, good core groups of guys, but the one at the Dogs was pretty special, mate. When you look back at it now and you see the team that we had, you scratch your head and you go, mate, we should have won at least one of those GFs, But like Liv said earlier on the show, anyone can win on the day. 2014 we played South Sydney and we beat them Easter Friday, I think it was, by 1 point. So they got us on grand final day, and it is what it is. That's what happens, grand final, anyone can win. That's the exciting part about it. And having the two teams that are going in this weekend in Brisbane and Penrith, the two best sides of the year, as a fan and as a supporter, that's what you want to see. So I'm excited about it.
Well, seems like comment. One more little question, because I've been to that Main Street of Belmore. I did some work there, worked for the railway, and they base their courses out of there. So walking down that Main Street of Belmore, you get a vibe of obviously the Bulldogs culture. I remember they played Parramatta in a game. I don't think you would have been at the Dogs then, but they absolutely killed us at a core stadium, ANZ. But what do you miss most about Belmore and the Bulldogs? And look, if you don't say the Lebanese chicken shop down the bottom of the street, then I reckon you're lying to me, because I know you've been there.
I've been there plenty of times. What's that other joint too? I don't know if it's in Belmore, but it's close by, Wafi. We used to smash those wraps, and we'd get an extra garlic sauce, and we'd come back and do weight sessions.
100%. It's dangerous.
The whole gym would smell like garlic.
Literally, I'm going to paint the picture for everyone here before Trent goes into it. You go to this chicken place, they give you a flattened Lebanese chicken. They give you chips, they give you garlic sauce, they give you some kind of salad that you're not phased about, and they give you like the pita bread. And you sit there and make your own chicken. I was there for 6.5 weeks. I reckon I put about 7 kilos on. It's dangerous, that place. I don't know how professional footballers can hang around in Belmore. It's dangerous. But anyway, touch on it.
Big Sam Castellano threw back a couple in break. Don't worry about that in lunchtime. You had to come back and do cardio, and it didn't sit too well. But look. The entire Belmore was great, mate. They had some passionate fans, and I really enjoyed my time there. Joe Bell's Cafe on the corner, she looked after us, so we spent plenty of coffees and plenty of lunches there. So there was some good times there for sure.
Do you feel for that?
Just touching on that. Sorry, Joel. Just touching on Canterbury. What's your thoughts on suburban grounds compared to playing at big stadiums? I know that we've gone on a little bit of a tangent here about crowd figures, and especially during semi-final time. You're about to ask this, but I love watching suburban grounds on television. What's it like playing there as a player?
Yeah, I've loved playing at them too. Don't get me wrong, I love a big crowd, and I've played in front of some big crowds. Suncorp 52,000 sellout sounds crazier and louder than a sellout, 80 odd at ANZ, to be honest with you, just the style of the stadium. But I've played in front of 90 odd thousand at the MCG, sellout too, when we went down there, State of Origin 2015. So, but, the ones that stick with me is going back to Belmore and getting 16,000 sellout. There's something different about those suburban grounds that it makes it special. It just brings back the old school rugby league that we all grew up watching, you know what I mean? And they've gone away from it. I know there's money things that teams get paid to go and play out of bigger stadiums, and there's a public transport, and the council with the suburban, like Belmore used to get packed and cars up on the gutters and everything, and the locals, but mate, for me, I love playing at suburban stadiums. Like, and I know the locals love it too. Like, that's what it's all about. You can walk to the footy, or you can just drive 10 minutes and do that, and it's your local team. I just feel like there's a lot more passion behind it, rather than we used to play the Cowboys, for example, out at Homebush, and there'd be 6,000-7,000 out there, and it'd be dead. It's just. Yeah, it's just a bit like, although you're not, you're worrying about the game and that, you still, the fans make it. Like, you get the energy from them. So, I'm a big fan of suburban grounds for sure. I'd take that over the big ones any day.
And you try and kick the ball onto the train track for sure.
Well, that's right. They'd have the net there. You'd still try to go over it for sure.
Absolutely.
100%. That was in his thoughts every time.
Yeah.
Just a nice little comment here, Rugby League, in my opinion. We've actually spoken about this on the interview that I had with you a few months ago. If you haven't already, please go check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Trent Hodkinson simply does not get the recognition he deserves for literally winning the series for New South Wales with his try and goal in the game 2 of 2014. You're an absolute legend. So nice little bit of love there for you. But I really want to start to sort of move this over to this week's game, and I want to ask you, because we're obviously seeing Reece Walsh at the moment for the Broncos in sublime form. I think he's the best player in the competition at the moment, and he's just got some freakish skills about him. You got to play with a player that was quite similar at the same time and probably helped the Bulldogs do a lot in Ben Barber. What's it like playing with those players? Is it simply give him the ball, let him do what he has to do, or is it you're in charge of, for a fact, I'm going to make sure our forwards do the job so I can get this guy into doing what he's doing all year?
Yeah, pretty much what you first said, mate. Just give him the ball and let him do what he's got to do, because when they're in that purple patch like that, there's nothing that can stop him. Like, it's just ridiculous. I remember Benny, we went up and played in Mackay, and it was a 99-metre try. I think the Melbourne Storm kicked it into the back, grubber. It was going to be a repeat for all money. And he took about 3 blokes in the end goal and then ran. And anyway, Joshy Morris scored up the other end of the field. But Reece Walsh, he's in a purple patch of his own at the moment. So you just got to let him do what he wants to do. I know he's a young guy, but at the same time, you got to keep him level-headed. And Adam Reynolds has got to, feed him the ball when he thinks is right, and control him to an extent. But at the same time, you got to find that happy medium of just saying, just go and do your thing. The more time you get your hands on the footy while you're in this form, the better the team's going to be. Obviously, stick to the structures and stick to the game plans and don't go too far out of that. But he's also, got to do what he sees. Like the other night, and the commentary said it, through that intercept, he could have just went into a shell, but the type of player he is and the confidence that he has at the moment, he just got his hands back on the footy and did it again. A lot of players would have shied away from it and just sort of trickled back into the game 10, 20 minutes later. But Reece, when you got that confidence behind you at the moment, as I said, mate, you got to get your hands on the footy as much as you can. And I think that's a big focus, no doubt, that Penrith are going to have. I'm interested to see if Penrith can sort of slow him down or shut him down, where do Brisbane go next? Because, a lot of their spark and stuff has been from Reece's out the back and his speed, getting that 3-on-2. You got Ezra Mam and Reynolds there as well. But I just think the Broncos, basis and their spark at the moment definitely comes off Reece. And if anyone can do it, it's Penrith, that's for sure. And I know Luai's come back from that shoulder injury, so this will be a big test. I don't think Melbourne went at him a little bit, but they didn't at the same time. So I no doubt I think Brisbane are going to really, really try and test him out. And, I mean, I still can't understand how he's back so soon from if it was, an injury like I've had shoulder injuries before and dislocations, and I sure wasn't back in 2 to 3 weeks. So hats off to him, and to get through that game last week, and hopefully he can put in a good performance for Penrith this week. Then it's going to be a good test for both sides.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think you touched on it perfectly. Sorry, Adam. The matchups across the field are just that's what we want in a grand final. Like we've got 1v2, but you look at the halves; they're both in career best form. Some would argue. The fullbacks are going to be very exciting, but then the forward pack is what excites most of us rugby league fans. To see those guys go head to head is going to be outstanding. How as the halfback, how do you control your pack to make sure that they are sticking to the game plan and not getting carried away in the big moment?
Yeah, I guess we've just got to trust in what we've done that week, our structures, and you can definitely go away from it and let the game get away from you and get a bit too excited and let the moment get the better of you. Big crowd, grand final, there's a lot of tension out there. I think if they just stick to what they've been doing that got them there, which is simple to say, then they'll be okay. But the forward battle is going to be unbelievable. Like you said, I had a look over the teams again today, and it's just you cannot, divide them in any way. Brisbane's packs just, they're going unbelievable at the moment. Led by Haas and Carrigan and Flegler. He was outstanding last week, wasn't he? He was just, post-contact meters and then flat offload too. That's going to be big, I think. I think, a lot of teams can go, go into the game and work on, get through the sets, get through the set for set mentality, whoever breaks early. I think the offloads are going to be a big key in this weekend's game because most teams can defend the structure. A lot of teams run very similar plays, but it's off-the-cuff footy where, you least expect it. And you're bouncing off the line consistently, and then you're on the retreat. They've put a late offload on, and then you've got to come back and make that extra effort. You can't really, train for that too much. So both teams can throw an offload as well. So, it's going to be an interesting clash up the middle, and I was glad that I wasn't involved in too many of those middle clashes. I was just hanging out the back as a half and pointing my finger and, kicking the ball out.
That's how Adam plays his footy too. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. No, I'm a forward. I'll get involved. Look, sorry, you've thrown me off what I was going to ask now. And it was obviously, it was about Penrith. Look, as a retired player, look, we're obviously all older now. I'm 32, and you sit back and look at the young Penrith players and a bit of the way they carry on. And I want to get your opinion on it because there's so much of it in the media about the smugness of Penrith, things like, I think people just hate winning cultures. You play with probably two of the biggest pests in the game in Michael Ennis and Josh Reynolds. So there's no doubt about that. No one's going to deny that. I don't think Trent's going to sit here and deny that. They got other people's skins, but you very rarely read articles about the things they did. What's your thoughts on the Penrith play? Do you think they take it too far? Is there a reason people hate him, or just you reckon they're just enjoying that winning culture that they've created, really?
I think they're just an error.
Yeah, I think they're just enjoying winning together. Like, at the end of the day, you play and your most enjoyment comes when you're winning footy games and your confidence is high. And I think you need a bit of confidence to be successful. There's a fine line between, cockiness and arrogance. I think you need that confidence. I think you need, to have fun. And I think they're doing it. Don't get me wrong, you can easily look from outside in and go, oh, these blokes are carrying on. Look, here we go again, blah, blah, blah. But until you know the guys, and I probably guarantee they're probably legends of guys. Like it's just like Grubby and Mickey Ennis, like you touched on. Outside in, everyone hated them. They're the most, down-to-earth guys. They do a lot for the charities. Mickey Ennis is the biggest family man, I know. Joshy Reynolds, he loves going out and doing stuff with the kids and giving back to charity. But, when they're on the footy field, it brings out that grubbiness in them and they play to that and it gets under people's skins. And that was a tactic of theirs and it was successful at doing it. So, I've met a lot of guys over the years during and post footy that I thought, oh, this bloke, he's a carry on, he's doing this and that. I go and meet him, they're the nicest blokes ever. So to answer your question, I think they're just enjoying it. I don't think too many people outside of Penrith fans enjoy watching it. So, but when you're winning games, hey, it brings the attention, and I think they're playing to it a bit, and it's their way of saying, rubbing it in a bit, I guess.
Absolutely. Who do you think has more pressure on them coming into the weekend, though? Penrith going for 3 in a row, or the Broncos with all of Queensland on their back and what they've achieved this year.
Sorry, all
hang on.
15 teams.
Yeah.
Well. They've got the other 15 teams.
Anyone that doesn't go for Penrith is going for Brisbane.
Yeah. Apologies. Every other fan base going for Brisbane. It was the Warriors, but now it's Brisbane.
Yeah, it was the Wars, wasn't it?
The Wars.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I heard today that it might have been, and I know he's an ex, Broncos player and everything, but the King Wally Lewis was saying that the Brisbane Broncos have no pressure on them. It's all on the Panthers, but I'll disagree there. I'll say I think Broncos have the most pressure on them. Penrith they've kind of cemented their themselves in the history now. Yes, they go on to three premierships in a row, and that's fantastic. And that's probably what they want to push. But Brisbane, the year they've had, and I was saying about the purple patches of Reece Walsh and a lot of players in that side, are they going to get there again? It's hard to get to a grand final, so I could be talking to you again in a couple of years and going, Brisbane have just won the last 3 grand finals. But I think Brisbane, to answer your question, have the more pressure than Penrith. I think they both have pressure on them for sure, but I think Brisbane have more pressure than Penrith.
I agree, and it's just because they have the expectations of the world on them, apparently, according to one of our fans in the chat.
Look, I think in 20 years' time, we're probably going to sit back and appreciate. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Appreciate how good this Penrith team actually is. That's not something we're probably going to do now. As you've obviously realised, me and Joel are both Parramatta fans, so we're probably still a little bit bitter, a little bit sad still from last year, definitely this time of year. But I think in 20 years' time, I've got one more question for you. Do you know a Nicola Wardell, or is this never heard of him before? Or
who?
Nicola Wardell. Wardell, do you know him?
I possibly do. Is he sending a question, has he?
Oh, mate, he's literally just giving it to you in the comments. Absolutely. If you flick across on your screen where it says private chat and it says comments, he hasn't stopped.
Where do I go there? Oh, yeah.
8 minutes. I just want to make sure you know him.
He's been...
Yeah, right. Just ignore that, mate. Is
that Josh Reynolds? Is that Josh Reynolds in disguise?
Yeah, it might be. How many's he got?
Wow. He's got a few there. Trent, I know we've gone way over the time I asked you for, so if you do need to go, I understand, and we'll get into the preview now with the NRL side of things, but if you do need to go and family duties or anything, I'm happy for you to, if you need to. That's all good.
Yep, no worries, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate your time.
I've got one more question for you, which the fans have, a couple of fans have mentioned now. They do want to ask you about that New South Wales win in 2014 and the emotions behind it and the pressure you felt leading up to it. I know we've already sort of spoken about it, and I know you've said having players like Josh Reynolds with you helped a lot with that. Just want to let the viewers know that are watching about that time and breaking the streak.
Yeah, about the Origin.
Yeah.
That year, yeah, mate. It was it was awesome because I got to do it with Josh and both Joshes actually, and then T-Rex was in the squad as well. So we had a few Bulldogs there, which sort of made my entrance into the team a lot more comfortable because there was a lot of guys there that had been there for plenty of years, and they had gone through a lot of hard times, and to just get there and get the opportunity, mate. Did I think I was going to play Origin? No. I knew Mitchell was there, and I knew Mitchell was young, and I thought he was going to be there for a long time. So when my name did get tossed up, I was pretty taken back, and it was a special moment. But to sort of get chosen and be sort of 8 years down in losing and have a bit of pressure put on you, especially as a half, as in the history of New South Wales halves, there's a lot of pressure on them, and a lot of them are in and out. So, but it was funny because I didn't really feel that a whole lot. We were lucky enough to go up to Coffs Harbour in the camp, and we bunkered down there because usually they do it at Coogee, and we went up to Coffs Harbour that year, and it was really cool because I remember asking, might have been Lukey Lewis or something, and I said, what's the best way I sort of should prepare about this, and he goes, mate, don't pick up a newspaper, don't pick up your phone, just turn the TV off and just focus on footy for this week, week and a half. And I did that, and I knew nothing that was going on in the world. So it was good. And then, just the experience of playing with those players as well, and the relief that they had after we won the series was pretty special because, it had been a long 8 years for him. And I was talking to Robbie Farah last night, actually, and he said that, it's almost 10 years coming up. It'd be good to do a reunion. And I said, that'd be unreal. It'd be pretty special to. And I know it's, we won an Origin, but it was just sort of the lead up and the relief that the boys had gone through, the pain over so many years, that it just made it that more special. Kind of felt like a grand final in a way, but they'd worked so hard for it, and I was lucky to get the opportunity and play alongside some really, really greats of the game. It was good.
Yeah, I really appreciate.
Relieved. It was a whole state.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
No, it was good. It was good times, that's for sure. So I'm very honoured and lucky that I got the opportunity.
I remember you mentioned to me as well the other month that you and Reynolds actually had a bit of a chat at the start of that week as well. Sat down and basically said we're ending it this is the year we're going to end it. So I think that was sort of the mind frame that you guys needed, and you just ran with it.
Yeah, and I think at the time too, the Bulldogs were sitting top of the ladder, so we were pretty confident in our game. And Laurie was big on combinations because he had James Maloney and Mitchell Pearce previously. So, when we got the opportunity to work together, we felt a lot more comfortable. And we roomed together, and we walked into the room and we dropped our bags and we sort of just looked at each other in disbelief, like, are we here? And then we sort of said to each other, we go, we could do something special here, man. And we're like, let's enjoy it. Let's bunker down and not take this for granted. And lucky enough, we played a part in the team, because, like I said, majority of that team had been there for a long time, and we were a couple of new fellas coming in trying to essentially steer these boys around the paddock, and it was. I remember Laurie just saying to me, mate, you need to be. You're here because you come, okay, like you in pressure moments. That's what we need. We need you to just do your job and get us around and kick the corners and simplify your game. But we know you can do it because that's the type of player you are. So, it was awesome. It was good. It was good memories and it was good times. And hopefully we can have that next year, that big catch up, and enjoy it again.
Yeah, get us a +1. We'll be there for League of Inches and represent as well. So you've been very calm with us tonight as well. Really appreciate it. Just before you go, just let us know who you think wins on the weekend.
I think a tight game. Hey, I think Penrith 20-18. I think I think it's just going to be back and forth. Two best sides, like we said before, going at it. I don't think there's going to be too much of a blowout. I think it's going to be quite close. I think 3 converted tries, and then Penrith, they separates it with a penalty goal late, I reckon. So Brian To'o, first try scorer, and Isaiah Yeo, I reckon Clive Churchill in the middle. I reckon the workhorse will get it over the line.
Get around it. Trent, thank you very much. We will let you go. We'll continue, guys, and just put through our NRL Grand Final predictions. But yeah, Trent, once again, thank you very much. You're part of the furniture now at League of Inches, and I really appreciate you and the time you give us.
No, I appreciate it, boys. Enjoy the week and all the best.
Speak soon.
Yeah.
Perfect. Again, that was amazing to have Trent once again has come on. If you haven't already, please go ahead, listen to the interview I did with Trent. It was a couple of months ago. Just go on to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You just type in Trent Hodkinson, it'll come up for League of Inches. It was a really good chat, and he speaks a bit more in depth about that Origin series and a few more things that have gone on in his playing career and being cut short and things like that, injuries and the like. But let's keep going, boys. I want to know about, and if you're still with us, thank you. Really appreciate it, and really good to hear from, as I said, the current players, past players, and here at League of Inch. We're going to do a lot more of that in the off season as the like. So please stay around. We're loving the support, boys. I want to know about the Broncos. I want to know a weakness. What have you seen in their weakness at the moment, and where you'd target?
I didn't even hear your question.
Sorry. I thought that same thing. I didn't say it. I was going to say it's going to be interesting finding a venue where everyone can make that reunion, but I decided not to.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to be one short.
Yeah, for sure. What'd you ask, Joel?
Yeah, what was your question?
What's your weakness for the Broncos? What's something Penrith can exploit? I'll let you guys calm down. I'll go just the edge defense we've seen on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's the press that they're pressing, but there was a few times on the weekend they didn't time it properly, so the Warriors were able to easily go around that and score in the corner. That's just something they need to be careful of, because I've seen Tayo, obviously, and River can really exploit that and score some spectacular tries.
You nailed it. It's the defense.
Yep.
Look, it's Penrith would have been licking their lips on the weekend watching that game. Something they'll definitely have to tighten up. But in saying that, I think Brisbane can worry Penrith with the offloads. We saw Parramatta obviously expose Penrith to that, and we saw Brisbane go through that period in that game against the Warriors where the offloads are unstoppable, and against the Warriors, sorry, yeah. And that, you know what I mean? You know what I was trying to say. It's late. It's getting late. I've had to be serious for too long, and I had to concentrate for too long. But I think
this is where the best Adam comes out. This is where the best version of Adam comes out, guys. The next 15 minutes is going to be great. But you're jumping ahead. I haven't asked you how Broncos are going to win yet. Yes, you got the defense as well.
Yeah, it's the sliding defense, the rushing out. I think Penrith are going to be too clinical when it comes to that, and hopefully the Broncos have done their homework and seen where they were pretty called out against in that Warriors game. So you'd like to think that they have, but you're right. I think Penrith can really squeeze that, put that spread on, and probably get around a couple of times. To'o's he's too good, but the halves are where the game's going to be won. Like, the forwards will do their job, but I think the halves is where that's going to happen.
That's my signal for the fact Nathan Cleary's bombs. We saw Reece Walsh.
I thought you were wrapping me up.
No, I'm not. A little bit uncomfortable under some of the bombs in regards to the weekend against the Warriors. So if Cleary gets hold of some of his torpedoes and they put a bit of pressure on him, it's really is a way to get Reece Walsh off his game.
What about the weakness for the Penrith Panthers? Obviously, with there being a juggernaut, we've spoken about that. For mine on the weekend, I'd be targeting Isaiah Targo. No, I've messed up here. Tungo, sorry. Penrith centre.
Isaac.
Isaac Tungo. I'd be targeting him for sure. I think Olam sort of has come back and hasn't been great, let's be honest, all year. And he sort of showed him up there and scored that try. And a little bit weak. I think his injury is still plaguing him. And we've spoken about Reece Walsh and how good he is on the edges with that speed factor. I think he can get on the outside of Tungo there and really exploit that. So for mine, it would be that little edge defense and that hole there that Tungo defends at.
Yep, that was my point as well. And then I think directing some big boppers at Mitch Kenny and trying to tire him out in the middle, I think might create a couple of gaps or force an early interchange, maybe to bring Cogger on. But again, I think, definitely the centre there, try and exploit a few things.
Penrith's weakness, Luai's left shoulder, pretty simple.
But he proved it.
Like Trent said, that they didn't really run a lot of traffic at him the other day, did they, Melbourne? They really didn't have the ball to do it, to be honest. And they seemed to target the other side. They did what I thought they'd do. They tried to work over work over Cleary. Obviously, take the pressure off there, which was a smart tactic. They just didn't have enough ball. So, look, Penrith's other weakness is probably the fact that they don't seem to like when teams get into a grind with them. So if a team can get into a grind with them, obviously fool them with that offloads, and then, I said the other day, Brisbane need to play that first 20 minutes. They need to learn from Parramatta's mistakes last year. Play that first 20 minutes. If it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, Brisbane are in the best spot to win the game. Because we know they can put on those attacking flares and start to play those offloads, and Reece Walsh can just light them up. So if Penrith go out and make the start they did last year and Brisbane can't weather that, the game's over by the 20-minute mark again.
Yeah. Strengths for the Broncos. Look, I've literally just written down Reece Walsh for mine. I know there's a lot more to the Broncos game, but at the moment, I just think how good he's playing. We've heard from Trent before, when these players are in this sort of purple patch of form, you simply just give them the ball and they just create. And I just can't. Being there at the game on the weekend, I just realised how quick he is. He is so good on with his feet, and you can get in around gaps that are that small. You just think are impossible to get around. So he's a live wire. He's dangerous. He's the heartbeat of this team at the moment. He's bringing the energy, and I just think if the Broncos are to win this, it's off the back of a Reece Walsh performance of one of the great grand final performances. Jez?
I think it comes off the back of offloads. So again, bringing it back to that forward pack and seeing if they can get an arm free, because that's when, as we saw in the game before, where Reece Walsh really just clicks into gear. It looked like he was disinterested out the back, and then an offload, he springs in, scores, or sets up that try. So definitely the offloads are, I think, where the game's going to be won and lost, because just looking at the forwards, it's such a matchup. I think it'll also show a bit early how much Isaiah Yeo ball plays, to see what kind of way Penrith are going to go with the game. I think if he tucks it under the arm and runs it a little bit more, they might show their cards there. But if he's ball handling and passing, then it might again show that they're probably ready to put a bit of a spread on, and rather than working for that offload, it's the classic hit and spin sort of, take it to the line and chuck it out the back. But I think the offloads are going to be where the game's won and lost.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, I pretty much touched on it, really. I pretty much answered it earlier. I don't really have a whole lot more to say.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Start us on Penrith then. I'll let you start us. What's Penrith's big strength?
I kind of touched on the other day, like, obviously, Brisbane, like, yeah, their forward pack's obviously awesome. But the way Reece Walsh was getting those quick play the balls, that first one, the meters he was making, being that first, second defender every time, obviously let Hassan, Carrigan, and Flegler get a roll on. So, if they can play that same game plan, but like I said, teams haven't always been able to do it against Penrith. They've got to stick to that game and stick to that game plan. So Penrith, look, it's kind of what Olivia was talking about earlier. I said to her, like, they're just a complete team. There's obviously some, we're talking about the brilliance of Reece Walsh for Brisbane. With Penrith, yeah, we obviously Cleary gets mentioned how good Cleary is, but they're such a good team across the board, but no one really stands out. And no one really stood out last year, I thought, on grand final day. Their forward pack was monstrous. And you can look at that for all their grand finals so far. Like, Cleary gets the accolades. He's a 7. The 7s always get the accolades. But I think their biggest strength is, based on last week, is James Fisher-Harris. James Fisher-Harris in every grand final, every big game he's played. You talk about your players standing up in big games. You talk about your players going missing in big games. And he's one player that turns up in big games every single time. He'll be out. He'll have a target on Payne Haas. There's no doubt about that. So I think he just needs his other forwards to stand up just as much, and they'll be right. So strengths all across the board. We've gone through their weaknesses. There's not really much else. We're just this Penrith team we're used to. It's going to be very hard to beat.
I think I'd put Brian To'o in that category as well, though, Adam. Like, he, every single week, does the hard carries out 200 meters easy. And I think, he's definitely another one that will just step up in the big games. Always seems to. Did it in Origin as well. He definitely doesn't go missing.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll put down, obviously, you mentioned pretty much everything already, but I just want to make a special mention on Isaiah Yeo, who I thought last week had probably his best game all year. I think he has been a little bit below par for his standards, and I thought he really came back and helped Penrith put on one of the masterclasses of all masterclasses for a Penrith side last week. And if he's in that sort of a form again this week, it'll make the job for the Broncos defense so much harder, because he was timing whether to ball play or just tuck it under and run really well on the weekend, and had that balance really, really fine and really, really well done. Just a special shout out, obviously, to Critter, who might be. He looks like he's playing his last grand final this weekend as well. So thanks for that, Andrew.
If not his last time, you might want to give a shout out to Jack Cogger as well, who's probably playing his last grand final as well.
Hey, we're in our period, mate. We're in our premiership window. I think the article said premiership window. But also, can you imagine if Brisbane and the Lions win? So Broncos Lions get up, mate. Brisbane's going to be the place to be.
I'll be there. No worries, guys. I'll tell you this amount. I'll tell you this right now, and I don't want to bring it up now because it will go into a massive debate, and we're not going to be on it for that long. But what I experienced on
the bed should come back in the comp. Okay, sorry.
Hang on. What I was there Saturday, obviously at the game. I went there quite a bit early. I was on the way through and just got dropped off there, and the town was absolutely buzzing. Like it was ridiculous.
Up
and
the was.
I loved the experience of it all. It felt like a big game. It had that feeling about, like, I know with Sydney at the moment, it's hard to. A lot of people say it's hard to get to a core and things like that, and it's just a headache. And there's not much around, but all the pubs, the streets, everything was just full of mostly Broncos jerseys, to be fair. But yeah, it was a really great atmosphere. And if what you said does happen, Jez, it'll be party for a month. It'll be crazy. So, if it does as well, they'll say rugby league's dead in New South Wales. So it's 50-50 is what I want to happen here. Let's get a predictions. You win. Whoever wins, you score first try scorer and you Clive Churchill. Jez, I know you like going first for these things.
Yep. All right. So head or heart, that's the way you go. I'm going to go with Broncos to win. They're going to do it by 2. It's going to be 12-10. Player of the match is going to be Payne Haas. And did you say Dally M?
First try scorer.
First try scorer. Katoni Staggs. No, scratch
Adam.
that. Brian Toto.
Quite hope Katoni Staggs scores now. Look, I'm going to go Brisbane. I think it's going to be a very close game, very low scoring game in that first half. I reckon Brisbane is going to have one of those periods of dominance like they did the other day for about 10, 15 minutes. And apparently going to be shell shocked. They're not going to know how to stop it. We're saying they don't know how to stop it. So I'm actually going to say Brisbane 30-16. So that's Brisbane 13 plus for those playing at home. My first try scorer. Look, I'm all about the forwards this week. I want the forwards to stand up. So I'm going to go another second rower in Jordan Ricky to score the first try. And my Clive Churchill medalists in a beaten team. No, I'm just joking. It's not going to be. That never happens. Look, Reynolds is obviously a big chance if they do it. But just sticking with the theme I'm going with is sticking to the forwards. I was going to say Payne Haas, but I give him too much credit. So I'm actually going to say Billy Walters. Just that special moment. Imagine that. Father-son. Son wins the Clive Churchill. I'm going to even throw it in there. Last try scorer, Billy Walters.
Last try scorer.
He's getting the gold star today.
Is it true that if either Cleary or Edwards win, they're the first to ever win back-to-back or two? Sorry, to ever win 2 Clive Churchills?
Yeah, I don't think there's
something around that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks. Let us know. You send us a message.
I'm certain that Billy Slater won 7. Only played in 4 grand finals, but
I think Tedesco just. I think Teddy got it actually.
Yeah, he's hit the Dally M as well. I'm going the Broncos to win as well. I just really liking what I'm seeing from the Broncos.
So we all go on the Broncos.
18 points.
No, that calls
10.
for. Sorry, I've been dying to press the buttons all night.
First try scorer. In a tribute, he's a big game, especially he scored in the last, I think, 3 grand finals. It's his last grand final, Stephen Crichton, to step up on the big stage and get Penrith off to a good start. Clive Churchill. I know a lot of people will be looking at Reece Walsh to do the masterclass, but I think a lot of people don't realise the amount of work that Adam Reynolds does for this Brisbane Broncos team as well. And I think if they are to win, it'll be back off the back of an Adam Reynolds kicking masterclass and organisational masterclass. So I think Adam Reynolds would get the Clive Churchill. Wouldn't that be
a nice middle finger to South Sydney as well?
Yeah, I mean,
which I think we can all get behind.
If you're the Broncos, don't you send the South Sydney then like a Christmas gift or something? Just a little bit of a thank you, but a little rub in the face as well.
Yeah. Send them a nice box of wine to say thank you very much.
Yeah. On that, thank you guys. Hope you really enjoyed this episode. It was great to get some expert opinions, and I'm not talking about us three either. So get around the grand final. Massive day on Sunday. It's my version of Christmas, basically. I can't wait. It's a massive day, eating, drinking, whatever else you do, and we're just watching all 3 games of football. Enjoy. Thank you once again for supporting the page, the channel. If you do have any other players you want to see come on from the women's or the men's side of things, just message the page. We'll do our best to get whoever we can on, and there'll be plenty of interviews in the off season. So we'll be back for a grand final preview next week. We won't be doing our preview show on the Sunday, obviously, because grand final.
We're going to preview the grand final next week.
We're going to preview.
Oh, sorry, review.
I reckon we'll be spot on, Joel.
Up the waz.
Preview.
Right, it's been a long episode. I
just want to just quickly touch on as well the main game on Saturday. I've got Lions 88 over Collingwood 67. There's been a few comments in their thing there. So
no one's going for Collingwood.
And Collingwood 67. Brisbane really has everyone on their back, don't they, in AFL as well?
Beep him out while he's talking about that crap game. So thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Love it, and thank you for the support. So enjoy Sunday. Good luck to both the women's and the men's in the grand final. Go the Newcastle Knights and go the Brisbane Broncos.